Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of Armored Aidan. Last week on on part 1, we did a rough sketch. We looked at what Aidan could be, or Armored Aidan. And if you missed that one, then check the link. You can click that and it'll take you to the first part if you missed it. But we're on just the sketching part of it, and I'll show you where we are right now. I'll transition that. It's kind of like where we ended up. So today what we're going to do is finish up what the whole entire process of going from sketching to finalized. So right now we have the basic sketch and we have some detail. You can add a little bit more detail if you wanted to. And so every time we do a sketch, we draw as light as possible. I draw darker so that you can see it on the screen, but for you, stay as light as possible because you can always go darker, but you can never go lighter. And Aidan, he carries a Bible in his backpack, so when he uses the Bible and opens it up, it becomes his armor. So that's why he looks like this. And if you look at Aidan before he's armored up, then he's just an ordinary guy. And I may have his, let's see if I have his picture in here. Yeah, he's somewhere in here. Aidan is, not sure where he is. He's all my different drawings, but he's somewhere in here. Where is he? He has to be somewhere in here. Oh, here he is. So this is what Aidan should look like. That's him without all of the color. So this is him with his, that's what he looks like normally. And so that's him normally. But what we're doing is putting him in it. That's the backpack that he has. His pencil becomes his sword, so he becomes that. So that was just a sketch that I did earlier, and that's a lot more detailed. But for us, we're going to finish off our other sketch that we were working with so that we can build from there. So again, we're practicing and getting better and trying to use all of the different techniques. So we use shapes, we use measurements. That's what all these lines are for, so that we can come up with our final result. So once again, you sketch very lightly so that you can go over it with a darker pencil. So I'm going to use one more, or put a little bit more detail in these areas, maybe for his boots, maybe down here, or his kind of like his thigh area. We have some detail. These are boxes, but we're gonna change that. Actually, he's pretty detailed already. So we're going to try and keep him very simple. This should be angled down like that. So we'll correct that as we go. So what I'm going to do is lighten this because so that I can see my inking. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to do some inking and we're going to draw the darker lines. So that's what he looks like right now. His head should actually be bigger. I don't know why I made his head that small. So we may have to do some minor adjustments along the way with the inking. So I'm going to bring a black pen. You can use a like a Sharpie pen, or if you want to use your pencil, then you can just draw darker. I'm trying to check the thickness of it. Now with the iPad, you can draw perfect circles. You may want to use maybe a template or a lid from something to make a perfect circle. But for now, I'll just draw it like this, and the iPad lets me draw a perfect circle. So although it's going to look like this, I can't draw that freehand, but the iPad can do that. So just draw your circle. I also have in the iPad, it's called Layer Assist, and what it does is it allows me to draw symmetrically. What I draw on the left will automatically draw on the right. So I'm not going to use that because then, well, you don't have that. So what I'm going to do is draw the eyes, or the top part. Now I'm drawing the whole thing. Don't draw the whole thing. I'm drawing the whole thing because I can erase. I'm not sure what you can do, because I'm not going to use this middle. In fact, you know what? I'll do it just like how you need to do it. And is my volume too? Okay. That way, what I'm doing, you're doing too. So let's start with this. This is going to be a straight line. You can use a ruler if you need to for this part. That way it's straight. And then you're going to draw these two sides. And the reason why I'm drawing these first is because we're going to connect it to the circles. And we're going to draw it from here to this one. Oh, excuse me. So we're going to have to stop to the other side. So let me just enlarge it. So we're going to draw this side and connect it to that. And then we're going to draw this underside and connect it there. And we're going to draw a straight line across. I'm going to draw this one first. And then we're going to draw the bottom side after. So you can use different tools if you have, just so that you can have a nice circular shape. And then use a ruler. I'm using my ruler on my iPad. It has an automatic snap ruler, so that comes in handy. Oh, as you can see right here, I need to connect this. So if you need to, make your corrections right now when you're drawing it. What I might do too is I'm going to change the thickness of lines just to bring a little bit more depth. So I'll do this one pretty thick. And then this one I'm going to do thin. Well, thinner. So as you can see, it's just a little thinner. Not too much, but just a little bit. Same thing for here. These are going to be, I'll do this a little thicker. And I'll draw it here. And up. And then draw this circle. Well, it's kind of a curve. It's not really a circle. It's more of a curve. I'm going to draw a line. So I'm doing this part very thick. These lines are going to be very thick. So I'm making it very dominant looking. I may add some detail after. But for now, I'll just leave it like this. And right now it's just straight lines. And again, you can use a ruler so that your lines can be straight. And just stay tight with your lines. And if you want to use a curve, you can do that. Find something that you can have that same curve. And again, on these, you can use a ruler because it's all straight lines. And this one right here, you want this line to be the same as that one, parallel to that. You don't want it to be crooked. You want it to be the same. And same thing like this. This line right here, don't draw it like this or like this. Draw it so that it's the same as that one. So as you can see, it's the same. It's parallel together. It's going in the same direction. You want to keep it looking neat. And this one. And then this line I'm going to make thin. Just right here. It's going to come thin like that. So it just adds a, maybe not that thin. That's too thick. Sometimes it's hard with this because you never know what you're going to get. But yeah, so that's just to add some dimension. So do the same thing on the other side. You're going to draw this line to match this line so that it's parallel. I'm going to draw a straight line here. And then once it's in place, then you can draw this straight line there. And again, you want to match it as best as possible. And then you're going to have his mouth here. So this is going to be his mouth. And should be just a straight line across. Now these circles right here, you can use another, if you want to use like a template, then you use something to make it curved. But that's how it's going to look. Now the side ears here, it's going to angle this way and then curve with the head and then angle it down. So that's what it should look like that. And you're going to do the same thing for the other side. Is that a bug? And then this side, angle up. And you can go thinner on the line. And there, and then angle that down. There, that's what it should look like. And I'll do the same thing for the other side and try to duplicate what you just did, which is hard. Just look at where the lines are. So my line is right around there. And then I'll come around, circle. And then it's going to be below that line. So you can use rulers, you can use different things as reference points. That way you know where it is. And if you make a mistake, it's not that big of a deal. You'll be all right. Okay? Draw this side. Right like that. And then straight line down. And those are your ears. It gives him space on the inside of his mask so that his ears can fit in there. Not saying that he has big ears, but it gives him room. Now we're going to go to his suit. And same thing under here. Draw his neckline. And if you need to, find something that would give you a nice curve. Now on his shoulder plates, you can draw it thick if you need to. And a lot of straight edges are going to be here. So I'm going to draw some thick and some thin just to give it some dimension. And you can do the same thing. Don't forget these circles here just to add some detail. And then his arm in here, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker for his arm on the inside. And then this is going to be more armor protection. So it kind of protects his forearm. And I'm curving it with his hand, but it snapped it into place, so that's okay. This is going to be the back side. Went too fast. On the back side of his hand. So this, you can be as creative as you want to be. Again, we're designing armored Aidan, so things may change along the way. I'm sure when I redo him or practice some more that I'm going to do a lot more changes. Now this is his hands, so I'm going to make this thinner so that I can add some detail. And if you need to be thinner, then use the tip of your pen rather than the side. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using the Apple Pencil on from my iPad. It does have, it's able to read it, kind of like what I'm doing. So same thing here. You're going to finish off. If I'm going too fast, I apologize. I'm trying not to take up too much of your time. You can always pause and come back. But all you're doing is just following your sketch right now. You already sketched it in, so you should already know what lines you should be following. And then when you're inking, which is what we're doing right now, you're going to clean up what you need to. That's what the sketching does. The sketching gives you a basic roadmap of where you need to go. But you're going to have to drive it with the pen to make it better. Same thing on this shoulder piece. Ooh, I need to make that thicker. So change my pen size. Make it thicker. I can bring that in. Draw that on this side. And it's fun to create because you don't know what it's going to look like. I have an idea in my head, but once I do it on this, then I'm able to get a better idea of what it's supposed to look like. In fact, I'm going to draw a little bit more details here. So what I'm going to do is curve this. I'll curve this like that. Draw this there. And then draw this one here. And bring it out just a little bit. Bring that out. So bring this out just a little bit. And then I'm going to bring it in. Bring this in. So you can use a ruler at this point. I'm using the ruler on this just so that it has its perfect shape. And that's the that's the luxury you have with digital art, is you can change, or you can use the different tools in the program for your benefit. So I'm going to change this here. So what I'm doing right now is this didn't line up with that, so I'm going to line it up so that it looks better. The detail part, this is very tedious. So I know this is not the most flashy part of drawing. Even in this, what I'm doing is I'm tapering it off a little bit. As you can see, it's not exactly parallel. And I'm doing that so that it gives a little bit more of a creative feel to it, to the suit. Now this is not matching up. So I'm going to have to modify a little bit and change that, tuck this in a little bit. But that's okay. This is your art. Whatever you want it to look like, you make it work. And I'll bring this in a little bit. Bring that in. So notice what I didn't do is stay to the lines. I brought it in a little bit from this edge. I didn't just continue on. I brought it in a little bit. And then this part, I'm going to make a little thicker, because this is going to be... Oh, it snapped it. I'll just draw it like this. That's kind of like his belt line. And then what I'll do is I'll finish this off right there. You'll snap it. And it'll be like that. And that'll work. Then I'll kind of modify this too. So I'll curve this. And then bring that in right there. Do the same thing on the other side, curve it, and then bring it in. So you do what you need to do, and just watch what you're doing so that you can always look back on it and say, okay, I want to change this, modify that. It's really up to you. Close this off because we're going to color that part in, so that way we have an area to shade in. In fact, I'm just going to color it in black. So this I'm going to finish off. I'm gonna do the shield first. Draw it pretty thick. I should have drew the shield thicker. See how it snaps it? That's okay. Yeah, I wanted to draw it thicker. That's okay. We'll modify as we go. I still could draw it thicker. I'll just outline it like that. And then maybe just this side. That's... let me just finish off that. There. Hey, that's good. Okay, then we're going to do the arm here. Inside of the arm. Inside the armor. And there's a little end of the edge of the circle. And the same thing with the hand. Actually, this is the... I need to taper that like that, because that's what the other side is. And then I'm going to bring that in. And this should come in like that, because that's a part of his hand. And then his fingers, I'm going to bring it up a little bit more, rather than down like that. There. Because it's holding it a little higher. But that's what it looks like so far. Okay, we're going to bring in the bottom part. This is kind of his hips area. Hopefully you're able to follow along. I know sometimes I go fast, but you can always pause if you need to. You can even take a break. That looks a little crooked. You see how it's not the same angle as that? So you want to make sure it's the same. I couldn't see, my hand was blocking. So move your paper if you need to. And then follow the same angle. Remember your reference points. This is the middle, so you want to make sure that this space from here to here is the same as that to that. So you always want to double check your work and make sure that it's looking like how you want it to look. Okay, and then this part you're just outlining. I'm going to curve it a little bit. I don't like the angle. It's too much of an angle. So I'm going to curve it just a little bit, just to bring some feel to it. It just looked too robotic. Same thing here. I'm going to curve this, shape it down. Some parts I can go. And the reason why I can go fast on this is because I have my basic sketch. Once I have the basic sketch, then I can move quicker. On this one, I'm going to bring in some detail. I'm just going to angle it like that, just to make it look a little more detailed. This one, I'm going to bring it thinner. So I'm going to draw 2 thin lines, just like that. Same thing on the other side. 2 thin lines. And you can do the same thing. You can take your time. I kind of rushed it, but you can take your time. Same thing on this one. Make it a little thicker. And this is just basic armor. Again, this is my first attempt with armored Aidan, so I'm going to have to modify a lot because just with the first, oops, went over there, so we fix it. The kind of like the first initial run, it's never the end result. You got to play with it a little bit. Curve this down. Now you can bring in some, if you want to put a little heel on it, and then maybe some rivets or some ridges underneath for grip, and maybe not even finish that line, just leave it open. But this part, this is the vents, so that it can breathe a little bit in there, so that it's not too hot. I don't know, maybe we should put air conditioning. Let's put air conditioning in this. That way he's able to be cool no matter what. And so same thing with these circles in the front. It's just to add detail. Let's do the other side. Change the thickness. Put some ridges underneath. And it's just basic ridges. You're not doing anything extraordinary or anything difficult. Try to keep it as simple as possible. I know you're probably thinking this is not simple. Oops, I went too fast. My hand slipped. So change your paper so that it's a little more comfortable for you too. And I'll just do it like that, and we'll probably change this later. Don't forget the ridges here, or the vents. I'll change the thickness. And this is just putting in some details so that it adds. Put in the the curves. That's just to add some detail for the bottom. And then let's do the sword. Yeah, let's do his sword. So the sword can be thick on the outside for the main parts. Let's do this. And then the inside, let's keep it like that. And this middle is going to be thin because that's the blade. And then the outside, or the handle, it can be a little thinner. So let's go thinner. And I'm going to follow just the shape of the ridges, but I'm also following this line so that it's parallel and consistent with the sword, the entire blade. And then you're going to put the bottom. I forget what this bottom piece is called, but there is a name for it, and I'll go look it up for next time. Hopefully I can get the name. Okay, then you can add in straps. Maybe this is leather, so it's wrapped around, and just be creative with it. Doesn't have to be perfect, just like that. Okay, now we can fill in. I gotta fill in this side, and then I'm going to color this in and that. So this is the inking, and then we can erase the background, which is the sketch. Looking cleaner, so looking a little bit cleaner. We're gonna still continue on with this, but this is just part 2. And then next week when we continue, we're going to color him in and add a little bit more detail to his chest plate and things. I think he can, or we may leave it simple. And it's up to you. You can add more detail if you want to, but this is Aidan. Aidan is able to change into his armored Aidan. So with his Bible, he opens it up and it becomes his armor. In fact, Ephesians chapter 6, if you read the Bible, you're going to see the armor of God. Go read it. Go check it out. It's good. But thank you for joining me today with Marvelous Academy. Hopefully you join me next week so that we can finish him off and get the details and color in there. I don't know what color I'm going to make him, but we'll decide it later. Okay, thanks for joining me, and as always, stay marvelous.